Diogenes made his factor 2,400 years ago, when he satisfied himself in public inside the center of the market, and remarked, "If most effective starvation will be relieved this effortlessly, and the use of the same merciless readability, I'll show you in the subsequent 13 minutes why every man who's ever fallen in love with a girl has been fooled by means of the oldest and greatest deception in human records." With the aid of the end of this, you may both stroll away shattered or completely unchained. Photograph a person so wild, so ungovernable that he lived in a barrel, openly masturbated, and instructed Alexander the Great to get out of his daylight. Diogenes of Sop wasn't only a logician, he changed into a destroyer of illusions. He wielded fact like a scalpel, cutting through the facade society calls virtue, and his major goal, the myth of romantic love. Most guys by no means recover from their first emotional wound. They spend years, once in a while their complete lives, chasing the echo of a feeling that changed into by no means real first of all. However, Diogenes, he by no means pursued. He by no means pleaded. He in no way bowed at the altar of a female's favor, and for that, he became the freest guy to ever breathe. Allow me let you know a story no one's advised you earlier than. In ancient Athens, there lived a placing courtesan named Lace. She was the obsession of the elite. Kings, warfare heroes, poets, all of them vied for her attention, providing wealth only for a single night beside her. In the future, a conceited young logician, honestly infatuated, came to Diogenes and stated, "Leas favors me. She smiles when I speak." Without even glancing up from his meal of uncooked onions, Diogenes answered, "You idiot, that smile will price you 300 dramas." The younger guy stormed off, insulted, but per week later he came again devastated. Leas had emptied his handbag and moved directly to a richer suitor. Diogenes laughed and stated, "The difference among you and a beggar is easy. The beggar knows he is being robbed, and that's the first lesson. Women don't love the way guys do. State of the art man is raised to trust that love is a truthful change. Provide loyalty and you may get loyalty. Offer your devotion and you'll acquire it lower back." But history says in any other case. Take the example of Heinrich Funist, a 19th century poet who loved a lady named Henrietta Vogel. He poured his soul into letters, dedicated his lifestyles to her, and whilst she turned into terminally unwell, she asked him to quit her lifestyles. He did. Then he grew to become the gun on himself. Her very last words, "Thank you." No tears, no sorrow, simply appreciation for his obedience. That is the female thoughts stripped undergo, an engine of hypergamy, optimized to pursue the very best price final results, even though it charges a man his lifestyles. Diogenes saw this sincerely. Whilst requested why he in no way married, he replied, "Marriage is a fool's prison. Why bind yourself to someone who is constantly seeking a stronger chain? Each guy recollects his first betrayal. Perhaps it changed into the woman in high college who kissed you in secret, then mocked you along with her pals, or the fiancé who vowed all the time, but vanished the moment a person wealthier regarded. The specifics do not depend. The scar is the identical. Here's the fact no person dares say aloud. Your heartbreak became not a mistake. It became a lesson. In historical Sparta, boys were taken from their mothers at 7 and thrown into the wild. The susceptible perished, the strong back as warriors. Why? Due to the fact the Spartans understood. Struggling is the best actual training. Your damaged coronary heart isn't always a tragedy. It's your first authentic glimpse into girl intuition. Diogenes stated it exceptional. A person who weeps over a female is sort of a dog howling at the moon. The moon neither hears nor cares. However, what if I informed you that identical pain can be was electricity, that the very component that destroyed you can be turned into a weapon? That is in which the gentle-hearted depart and the strong begin. There comes a second in every guy's lifestyles while the curtain is ripped away. It moves like lightning, a brutal readability that shatters everything he believed for the reason that boyhood. For some, it arrives within the silence of a cold bed after she leaves. For others, it is in the condescending smirk of a woman who is aware of she controls the sport. But the takeaway is continually the identical. Love is not a settlement, it's a game, and you've been playing along with your eyes close. No one understood this like Diogenes. Even as Plato dreamed of best bureaucracy and Socrates debated ethics, Diogenes lived in grime, laughed at romantic beliefs, and watched men beg for equity. He wasn't cruel, he wasn't sour, he was simply wide awake, and that's what made him risky. History honors the men who became akin to electricity, like Gasoline Marius, the Roman widespread, who after betrayal and exile clawed lower back to power with fury as his gas, or Naiads, rejected by means of El Salem, who vanished into isolation and lower back with as a consequence spoke Zarathustra, a piece that would change philosophy all the time. These guys did not disintegrate below sorrow. They cast their torment into something unbreakable. Diogenes lived via that identical code. Whilst pirates kidnapped him and bought him into slavery, he failed to cry or gravel. He seemed his customer in the attention and said, "What you want is a pace-setter. I will do it." The man changed into so bold over by his audacity, he made Diogenes the teach of his sons. This is the primary regulation of emotional transmutation. Pain is a shape of foreign money. Spend it properly. Most men waste theirs. They drown in recollections. Her contact, her laughter, the manner she looked at them before she left. They obsess over unanswerable questions. Why wasn't I true enough? What did he have that I failed to? Diogenes would have laughed of their faces. Whilst a lovesick man once requested him the way to get over a woman, Diogenes handed him a rotten fish and said, "Stroll through the marketplace wearing this." The man did. By the time he lowered back, the stench was unbearable. "Now toss it," Diogenes ordered. He did. "Do you miss it?" Diogenes requested. "Of route not," the man said. "Then why do you miss her? Women have understood the policies for all time. They have constantly been master tacticians, the authentic experts in psychological struggle. At the same time as men waged wars and constructed empires, women delicate the artwork of diffused dominance, no longer by brute pressure, but with the aid of illusion. Consider Catherine the Exquisite. She seduced her manner to the top, overthrowing her very own husband to say the Russian Empire, or Cleopatra, who didn't simply enchant Julius Caesar and Mark Antony with beauty, however with precise presentations of strength wrapped in calculated vulnerability. Those ladies weren't villains. They virtually mastered the sport and played it at the highest degree. Diogenes saw through that phantasm. Whilst a celebrated courtesan boasted she should make any man fall for her, he challenged her. "Attempt me." She gave it her exceptional. She complimented him, caressed his arm, whispered engaging matters. Diogenes yawned. Then she bared herself totally. He failed to even glance up from his lentils. "Your body is your weapon," he said lightly, "but I'm not your mark. This is the second one regulation. No one can manage you unless you step onto the board. Today's man is drowning in emotional manipulation. He's instructed to be smooth, open up, be susceptible, and as soon as he does, the enchantment dies, the honor fades, and the relationship crumbles. Diogenes could have visible it coming. Whilst a man as soon as confessed that his wife misplaced all interest after he bared his soul, Diogenes gave him a cup of water. "Spill it," he said. The man obeyed, now positioned it lower back. He could not. "So why did you spill it inside the first location?" The best level of transformation is not about mastering girls, it's about gaining knowledge of yourself. The Stoics known as it apithia, freedom from ardor. The Buddhists name it detachment. Diogenes called it living like a dog. no attachments, no expectations, no worry of being left. When Alexander the Superb stood before him and asked if he ought to supply him anything, Diogenes spoke back, "Sure, pass. Your status in my son, that is the unshakable thoughts, not constructed on riches, no longer dependent on love, but on a complete absence of need." Most guys will never attain this. They'll spend their lives yearning interest, begging for affection, contorting themselves to win approval. Best to be discarded the moment someone higher comes alongside. But what takes place when a man wakes up, whilst he stops chasing and begins rewriting the script? That's while philosophy becomes uncooked strength. There is a second in a person's journey wherein the whole lot shifts. It does not creep in, it crashes like thunder. The entirety you believed collapses, and what rises isn't peace, it is fire, and suddenly you see it. Every tear you cried, each sleepless night, each sacrifice you made within the call of love, it wasn't absolutely for her. It become on your own brokenness, your longing, your determined craving to be visible, to be wanted. Diogenes understood that higher than absolutely everyone, he in no way begged to be cherished, never negotiated for interest. He lived in a barrel, touched himself in broad daytime, and died penniless, but wielded greater electricity than maximum rulers. The deadliest delusion offered to men is they ought to be cherished via a lady to be whole. History is a graveyard of folks who believed it. Samson, the most powerful of all, undone by using a woman's betrayal. Orpheus, who braved hell itself for Eurydice, only to lose her with the aid of searching, returned. Even Hercules, who lit his very own pea after Dana poisoned him, questioning it was a present of love. These are not stories of romance. They're warnings carved into time. Diogenes mocked such weakness. While a younger guy got here to him, heartbroken because his lover had selected another, Diogenes listened in silence. Then he picked up a lifeless rat via the tail and held it up. The person recoiled. "You bark at this rotting carcass," said Diogenes. "But let a woman decay your soul. Right here lies the primary rule of brutal self-mastery. Now not love, not intercourse, now not companionship. None of it's far worth the price of your dignity. Maximum men by no means study. They chase lady approval like junkies, continuously hoping this time will be distinct. She's now not like the others. They say, if I attempt more difficult, she'll stay. They're incorrect time and again. However you have a preference, live kneeling or upward push." There may be a tale the academics avoid. One night-time as Diogenes become ingesting a humble bowl of lentils, a rich man walked via and sneered, "If most effective you would flatter the king, you wouldn't ought to stay on scraps." Diogenes did not even blink. "If simplest you may live to tell the tale on scraps," he said, "you would not need to flatter the king. That is what it method to kill neediness. Most guys are enslaved by means of their urges. They need intercourse, they want praise, they need to be preferred, and that starvation, women scent it like blood within the water. It pushes them away whilst they exploit it. Diogenes understood this greater than everybody. Whilst Corinth's most lovely courtesan offered herself to him totally free, he sincerely declined. "If you had been handing out spoiled figs," he stated, "must I take them simply because they are free?" Enraged, she demanded to realize why he would insult her. He shrugged, "Because I do not want you. That is the second one law. The instant you prevent desiring her is the moment she starts off-evolved wanting you. It's not trickery. It is not strategy. It's the raw reality of energy dynamics. A person who is whole by way of himself cannot be manipulated. So what does true freedom seem like? It doesn't imply you hate ladies. It does not imply you close love out. It way understanding love isn't always oxygen. You might not die without it. Diogenes lived that truth each day. He owned nothing, responded to nobody, ate while hungry, slept wherever he pleased, indulged while he felt like it. And when Alexander the first-rate ruler of the known world requested what he preferred, Diogenes spoke back with simplest one factor: forestall standing in my sunlight. This is the free man, now not the one with the whole thing, but the one that lacks not anything. And right here's where most guys fall apart. They pay attention all this. They sense the hearth mild up inside them, and then they neglect. They fall back into old styles. A grin from the right female pulls them right lower back into the trap, compromising themselves for crumbs. Do not be that man. Be the one who can say, I'll revel in love, but I'll by no means rely upon it. Be the one who leaves whilst recognized dies. Be the one who, whilst requested what he fears, solutions with one word, not anything. Diogenes died exactly as he lived, untamed. Whilst asked how he wanted to be buried, he stated, "Toss me to the wild dogs. What use have I for a grave? Even in dying, he would no longer be owned." So now ask yourself right here at this turning point. Will you move slowly through life begging for romance? Or will you place your want on fireplace and upward push, as the form of man nobody can damage? The selection is yours.